Salutations, future Twig. Past Twig here once again, and we have another card call out for everyone today. And today we're going back to the colorless cards with Warping Wail. One waste energy, one colorless energy, and you get yourself an instant that is a modal instant. And as you guys know, I love these kinds of cards because there's so much variety and versatility of what they can do. In this case, the three options you have are exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less, counter target sorcery spell, or create a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi San creature token. This token has sacrificed this creature to add 1 colorless mana. So there's obviously a ton of different things you can do with this and a ton of different strategies that this kind of card can fit into. But first off, let's talk about the pricing. Looking on Scryfall here, it's only about 29 cents. This has dropped significantly in price since it's been reprinted once or twice. It used to hover around the $1 or $2 range, and so it's nice to see it kind of back down and affordable for all those budget builders. If you then go on to EDHREC, you can see that's including about 50,000 decks, or a little bit under 1% of all decks, which is kind of insane to consider the fact that this is a colorless card, so it can theoretically go in any decks, quote-unquote, and with its different abilities, it's actually kind of powerful. So, let's get into some of those synergies right here. We're looking at, first off, I just made a deck tech, and I'll link it below in the description, for Kinzu the Bleak Coven, where I was doing kind of like a reanimator strat, and I actually include this card in there. That last mode, going back up here real quick, of being able to create a token is fantastic to have as a backup option in case you have a board wipe hit and you need a creature to sacrifice to recur something, or you need a creature to sacrifice to get your combo going again, or whatever the case might be. Having the ability to just create a token for 2 mana is actually quite significant. Not to mention the fact that even as you're holding that in hand as a backup, you can still exile somebody's commander if it's toughness or power 1 or less, and there are some pretty nasty sorceries in the game of Commander especially, where a lot of the more powerful board wipes and effects like that tend to be sorcery spells, such as, I believe, Damnation, Wrath of God, I believe, is a sorcery speed card, and as well as, I believe, Toxic Deluge is also a sorcery. So there's some pretty nasty effects that you may not want hitting the board, so having that counter-target sorcery kind of stuck there is kind of really nice for that. So yes, Kinzu of the Bleak Coven, being able to reanimate stuff and just have tokens available for that. Second up, leaning more into the token strategies, you have stuff like Brutaclad, Telcore Engineer, one of my personal all-time favorite Izzet cards, where being able to have the instant sorceries that synergy that Izzet is well known for is very important, especially if you're doing something like a clone or copy style strategy with Brutaclad, Telcore Engineer. And also, again, being able to put down that 1/1 token and then having Brutaclad turn that 1/1 Eldrazi Scion into a different creature for the swing out during the combat step of the turn is fantastic. So a lot of different token synergies that can occur with Warping Wail. And last but not least is Vahati Indown. This card I wanted to focus on. I've mentioned him once in a prior deck tech. Is very interesting because he has such a unique ability where until end of turn, by tapping him, you can give target creature base power 1 or base toughness 1. And this is kind of interesting because assuming, of course, that you don't have counters flying around, which could happen, but if you're against most people's commander, you can tap your commander, Vahati Indown, make their commander have power or toughness 1, and then you can immediately exile it with Warping Wail. So there's a little bit of a combo with this card where I would say most Vahati Indown decks should be running Warping Wail. It is such a powerful synergy with your commander, and it just has so much variety. And again, if nothing else, you can counter a sorcery, or you can get a 2/2 that can sack itself for 1 mana, for 2 mana as like an emergency blocker or whatever you need at instant speed. So, anyways, those are the synergies I have for you today. Powerful card. Hopefully you can find a spot for your next deck. And otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great day. Take care.